Welcome to Beehive Solve Cases, where we put a sting back into cold cases from around the world. Today we would like to take a look at the private investigator's Jim Collins statement in this video. The copyright disclaimer is in effect under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1997. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is in use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor for fair use. So let's take a quick listen to this news clipping with the private investigator, Jim Collins.
Andy, the private investigator tells me that she told her mother that on two separate occasions she saw two men walking through her apartment complex, and she identified those men as bodyguards of Marvin Sapp. Telka's sister, Tanisha Patrick, told us by phone today she's getting discouraged, but remains hopeful she is still alive.
It really seems like all possibilities have been exhausted. I fear that she has met harm or danger. We remain encouraged as a family that in the midst of it all, God is there and He's with her and He knows where she is.
Something happened on December 5th, 3 months ago.
Private investigator Jim Carlin tells us Pastor Marvin Sapp deserves a closer look in connection to the disappearance of Telka Patrick, even though the Kalamazoo County Sheriff said during a press conference that Sapp was just a victim of stalking and nothing more.
She also told the mom, and Mrs. Patrick talks about this often, if anything happens to me, you've got to look at that church. It's pretty profound.
Carlin tells us he's received several anonymous calls from people in Sapp's congregation, upset that the church has not done more to help find Telka.
They take the position and have told their congregation they just refuse to talk about it, and so many people consider that odd.
What's also odd, says Carlin, is several phone calls he's received from people in the UK and Jamaica, claiming that God sent them a message about Telka's whereabouts, all of them pointing back to Sapp's church.
The one lady said, I don't know if it's a residential number, a highway number, and I keep seeing this number 1250.
And Carlin reveals two suspicious phone calls were also made to Telka's mother, possibly from Telka herself.
She said it sounded like a person trying to say something as if they wanted to start a sentence of some sort, and it was just very, very vague, and they hung up.
It is said that on two separate occasions, Telka Patrick told her mother that she saw two men walking through her apartment complex, and she identified those men as bodyguards of Marvin Sapp. Also, the private investigator, Mr. Collins, says Telka told the mom, if anything happens to me, you gotta look at the church. And it is also said that the church in which Telka Patrick attended did not want to help her or speak to the news or speak to the authorities about the disappearance of Telka Patrick. Now, my question is, who was this mystery phone call that the private investigator, Mr. Collins, received? And who was the lady who claimed to have psychic abilities to see a number she wasn't sure about? And who was on the other end of the phone call the mother received from someone trying to speak to her? Take note, the private investigator didn't say Telka Patrick's mom said it was her daughter. He just said the mother received two phone calls with a person on the other end trying to say something as though they were trying to start a sentence. Okay, let's stop here a minute and let's use a little bit of common sense, shall we? If, in fact, Dr. Telka Patrick reached out to her mom to call her, wouldn't it make sense for Dr. Telka Patrick to say, I'm in danger, please help me, Mom, I need your help? Why would the caller remain silent on the other end of the phone? It doesn't make any sense. Now, it was said that the mom told the private investigator, allegedly, that Telka Patrick said, if anything happened to me, you must look at the church. So if she was in trouble, why wouldn't she tell her mom? I mean, she did dial the number, didn't she? Or didn't she? Everything about this story seems fishy and doesn't add up. I want to know, why is someone pointing the finger towards Dr. Marvin Sapp's church? Why are they putting the blame on Dr. Marvin Sapp church? And why do they feel Dr. Marvin Sapp need a closer look? Was he involved or wasn't he involved? I'll be back with more video.